Hi, I'm Chardhi Kala from the Sikh Coalition, and we're here at the Chardhi Kala 6K Memorial Run in Oak Creek, Wisconsin. And we have a few community members and community leaders here to share some reflections with us. So maybe if you could each introduce yourselves.
So I'm Corporal Kamal. I lost my mom 5 years ago, so that's why I'm here, to reflect on her and then everybody else that lost their lives that day.
My name is Balihar Singh Balai. I'm a president of the Sikh Temple, and it's my duty to be here and support our youth and the community in the great cause which they hold every year.
I'm Valerie Kaur. I'm an advocate, and I run something called the Revolutionary Road Project. And I've had the honor and privilege of being with the community for the last 5 years, making a film about their story, and also working with them in response to it.
So you all are here, and it's been 5 years. It feels like it passed quickly, and then at the same time, like time went a little slow. When you think about what also has happened nationally in the last 5 years, as everyday Americans have gotten to know the Sikh community or gotten to know others that are perhaps not like them, what do you think maybe has changed for the good in the last 5 years?
I personally think, obviously the Sikh awareness in the local area here has gotten a lot better. I know Valerie and I spoke last night, and I iterated how it's somehow this has died down, I feel like, other parts of the country. So maybe there's perhaps that we can do a little bit more to keep raising that awareness. Obviously it's still a little fresh in Wisconsin still after 5 years, but North Carolina, I'm down south where not many people know about it. You know, when I mention, hey, 5 years ago, August 5th, 2012, most people can't recall. So I think we need to do a little bit of a better job. Not raising awareness for this, but obviously educating people about the Sikh people because they still don't know. Many don't know yet. So.
Well, I feel like even right now in America, hatred is still on the rise.
Hate's on the rise?
And it's not just the Sikh community that is affecting, it's affecting everybody all around us. And I think people just need to come to terms and realize, what they're really missing in life is their self-respect. They need to get to know themselves. Just because they think if they convert to violence or hatred, you cannot solve things, you're not going to solve anything. It's just going to bring communities together. And it's an unfortunate thing that this took place 5 years ago, but even then we are looking at it like this. We did lose 6 souls at the time, and I always put this, there were 6 candles that were taken away from us, but in return, it generated millions and millions all around the world. And a lot of people were enlightened by that. All the other communities, not just the Sikh community, a lot of the community are aware of who Sikhs are now. Like myself, if I go into a store, a person will look at me and they acknowledge, even with a nod or say hello, where before they wouldn't know. But one of the things I really want to say here is the really negative part of it. It is not the other communities, it's our community. I'm sorry to say that, but they are the ones who really need to go out in the community, try to interact with the other communities. So one of the things that they downfall is, like, they come with a limited English, and they always think, well, if I say something, I'm going to say something wrong, I'm going to offend. Well, my advice to them is, don't worry about that. Just go out there, try to interact. People will understand you better.
That's right.
And if they can do that, I think it'll be a positive on everybody. And I think we can all get along a lot better that way.
It's a great message. It's a great message.
I can't believe it's been 5 years. Oak Creek was the largest attack on the Sikh community since we made America home a century ago. It was also among the largest attacks on any faith group in recent U.S. history. And yet 5 years later, it's been largely forgotten, either because people haven't remembered it or it didn't receive enough coverage in the first instance to be remembered. But I think what you're hearing from Kamal and from Uncle G is that those who have heard the story have been transformed by it. And that's because the story of Oak Creek is not just one of tragedy and massacre. It really does show the face of hatred in the United States. And it really is just the latest chapter in an epidemic of hate violence that has gone on since 9/11 and well before. So we need to confront it because it shows us what hate looks like. And the fact that the threat of another Oak Creek is greater now than it's ever been before under this administration. This is why we have to look into the abyss, why we have to face it. But what we have to remember is what happened next. And those are the stories that we need to tell. The story of how Kamal and Harpreet took their story to Congress, thanks to the Sikh Coalition, to ask the senators to give their mother the dignity of at least being counted on a federal form. All this time, the U.S. government hadn't tracked hate crimes against Sikhs, but you made that possible. You did that with allies. One landmark federal policy change. And now, because we're measuring a problem, we can at least begin to know how to respond to it. We have to remember the story of Arno Michaelis and Pradeep Kaleka. Arno, who was a former white supremacist who reached out to the Kaleka family to apologize for the shooting. He became friends with Pradeep, Satwan Singh Kaleka's son, and the two of them have formed an initiative called Serve to Unite with other youth. And they go around with their friendship telling the story about how love can overcome hate. And we have to remember the story of Baba Punjab Singh. Baba Punjab Singh, who was wounded, a bullet entered his right jaw, this side, and damaged his spinal cord on the day of the shooting. He was a renowned religious teacher. He was a man of soaring oratory who called people to live in a state of Chardhi Kala, ever-rising optimism. And yet that bullet rendered him speechless. And all these 5 years, he's been unable to move, unable to speak, lying on a hospital bed on the outskirts of Milwaukee. And every day, his family, including his granddaughter, who's right here, has been standing vigil by his bedside, playing shabats, playing kirtan, massaging his body, braiding his hair, rubbing oil into his skin. I was just with them the other night, watching his granddaughter do this seva. And she asks her grandfather, "Papaji, are you in Chardhi Kala?" And this man, this great teacher, this grandfather who cannot move or speak, the only thing he can do is blink his eyes. Once for no, twice for yes. "Are you in Chardhi Kala?" He blinks twice, yes. If Baba Punjab Singh can be in Chardhi Kala, then so can we. So can all of us. And in a way, he represents the state of the Sikh community right now. Hate tries to kill us, but we refuse to die. We refuse to die. And despite all odds, we still communicate that we are in Chardhi Kala, with the hope that you might rise up with us too. So that's why I'm here, and those are the stories that I hope that we can keep telling. And I'm so grateful to the entire Sikh community and to the Sikh Coalition, and to my beloved sister Sabreet for telling these stories and fighting for us so tirelessly.
So for all the young people who might be watching, what would be the one action that you think, one or two actions that they could take that would make a difference, that would help us heal as a community, that would help us fulfill the American dream collectively? What would be the thing you would implore them to do? Uncle G, maybe we could start with you. What would you tell young people to do?
I would tell them one thing is they can start believing in themselves. Because the thing is, we always easy to criticize everyone else, but we fail to see ourselves. If we can get ourselves on a right path, get the high spirit, like we say, Chardhi Kala, put ourselves in that position ourselves and start believing in who we are, what we are. Because we don't need to worry about anyone else. We don't need to worry about what anyone else thinks of us. You know,
That's right.
You be confident. You in a school, you be confident. You want to take a test, you be confident. You don't need to see how the student right next to you is doing, or is he getting better grade than me. You should be worrying about yourself and make sure you are remembering yourself. That's what I want to, that's the message I like to put out there for our younger generations.
Wonderful. Come on.
I'm gonna bounce off of what Uncle G said earlier today, and I would say what we should do as a youth is do things that a lot of us are afraid to do, because I feel like the stereotypical things that our youth wants to do, our parents are forcing our youth to do, is become a doctor, become an engineer. If you're not a doctor or an engineer, you're a failure at life. You know, I really think you should definitely, the youth today needs to actually I don't know, become a rebel to a point where it's for their own good. Your parents will come around. They've been supporting you all your life anyways. And I doubt that something like this is going to
Make them shun.
shun them away, you know. From what Gina and I have done, obviously, is even after I lost my mom, I decided to join the Marine Corps. And I'm not saying the youth just go out there join the military, but I'm saying it's one gesture, stuff like that sows seeds of peacefulness and love to show the Americans that even though, this country took my mom, but here I am standing, and the two of us are wearing the cloth of our nation and still saluting that flag that was once half-mast, ordered by President Obama 5 years ago. And so it's great that Gina and then other Punjabi people that I know in the military are spreading the message of love and acceptance and accepting other Americans as one. You know, and Uncle G said it just right. I think the problem is much more than them not accepting us. It's like us accepting each other first, and that's where it starts. It's very important that we go out and do things what's right for us. You know, we need to stop worrying about what people are going to think. We got to stop worrying about what community is going to say. You know, do what's right for you. And that's what I would say to the youth today.
That's great. Gina, we're asking folks if you could have one message for your youth that may be watching today to put them on a course where they can make the world they want to live in. What would be your piece of advice?
And would you just, before you do that, would you just introduce yourself and say who you are?
Would you like me to do the official introduction, Navy-wise? Okay, all right. So I'm Petty Officer 2nd Class, Kuldeep Kaur. I've been in the Navy for 7 years. I've been on active duty all 7. So I just got stationed out here in Chicago, so I'll be here for a few years. But, you know, one thing that it's probably going to mimic what Gumbel said, but I think the biggest thing is to just follow your heart. I know when I was going to join, you can ask my mom, she's right behind us, but she'll tell you the only reason she let me go to boot camp was because she thought I was going to fail and come home. You know, she's like, we just let you go, we thought it was a phase, you'd come home, and then, you know, you'd go to college, and 7 years later, she couldn't be more proud. And I think that there's not many of us. Our community is very small, and whatever path you choose, you have to be the best at it. You have to perfect it, you know? And when I joined, it wasn't to set an example for the community. It wasn't to, you know, be in the spotlight. But when I realized I was, there's no room for mistakes. Mm-hmm. You have to be the best, so no one has a chance to say that this is why Sikh boys and girls shouldn't do this, or this is why this isn't the right career choice. Whether you're a doctor, whether you're a lawyer, engineer, service member, police officer, whatever it is, just do your absolute best. Because the entire community is looking at you. You know, whether you want them to or not, they're going to look up to you. So just follow your heart. Join the service. It's great. In the Navy, though, because, you know, it's no big deal.
Just like believe in yourself, you know, before you start believing in anyone else. Believe in yourself.
What do we need?
That's what our children now need to do. Don't go after the drugs. Drugs doesn't do you any good. You know, it gives you a high for maybe whatever time it is, or what happened afterwards. But if you believe in yourself, you know, you can be very powerful. You are a powerful tool. Let that come out. Or let that come out. That's one of the things I like to tell the younger generations. Do not be afraid of who you are, and what you can achieve. Everything is at your fingertips. You don't need to have somebody give you a handout. You go out there, you earn it. You can do it.
It's a great message. Valerie, any reflections?
So, you know, we're hearing the call to believe in yourself, and the question young people always ask me is how. And I want to remind us of the stories of our ancestors and the courage, their courage that runs through our blood. And the story that I've been telling, that we've been reflecting on with Sabri, is the story of my Bago, and the story of the first Sikh woman warrior. A great battle, 40 soldiers abandoned their posts during this battle, and this village woman turns to them and says, "You will not abandon your post. You will return to the fire. You will return to the fight, and I will lead you." She dons a turban, she takes a sword in her hand, and with fire in her eyes, she points the soldiers back into the flames. She becomes the one she was waiting for. You know, my Bago, she may not have been the strongest. She may not even have been the smartest. You don't need to be any of these things. You just have to believe in yourself and the courage within you to rise up to the occasion. But remember, we don't go into battle alone, and we don't give birth alone. We as women know that we need to do things in community. And so if you're feeling this call to serve, this call to social justice, just remember 3 things. Number 1 is Sangat. Find your brothers and sisters. Find elders. Find your older sisters and brothers. Find your peers to learn from, to talk to go into battle with. And number 2 is your sword. Find what to train with. Is it joining the service, or is it getting your law degree? Is it picking up an artist's brush? Is it learning how to make a film? What is your sword? And finally, I want you to remember Simran, to be able to weave into your day a daily practice where you're connecting with yourself and Ikonkar, connecting with oneness through Shabas, through Kirtan, through walking by the ocean, whatever it is that allows you to center yourself. So those 3 things, Sangat, your sword, and Simran is all you need to have the courage of my Bago and fight the good fight.
Well said. Well said, Dalvi.
Thank you, Uncle G.
So you can see here in Oak Creek, 5 years later, there's still no shortage of inspiration. There's no shortage of Chardhi Kala. There's a community that continues to teach us how to live with the Sikh spirit and motivates all of us to be better human beings and to find the humanity in everyone we meet. So all of that here from Oak Creek.